Good afternoon. I'm here to share our 30 years of experience in producing competent practitioners and building the capacity in the Fortune 500 clients we serve around the world. I'm not an academic, but a practitioner who came up through the trades as a union carpenter, from apprentice to journeyman to master carpenter, then general contractor, and trade school teacher for 30 years working in New England. During that time, I went to school at night to get my degrees in construction management. For 35 years, I've also been a PADI scuba diving instructor with 200 dives in the Red Sea and another 200 here in Southeast Asia. And I also have 700 hours as a private pilot, 200 of them flying the Alaskan bush. Why is this relevant? Because these experiences all explain my teaching and learning philosophies in developing competent practitioners. I'm a truly global citizen who happens to carry an American and Italian passports and whose home base is Anchorage, Alaska, but I've spent the last 30 years living in Jakarta, providing competency development and capacity building to Fortune 500 clients in the oil, gas, mining, and telecommunications sectors. Look, let's face it, there's no shortage of evidence showing that despite having initiated, planned, executed, controlled, and closed projects for well over 6,000 years, we humans still have not learned what works and what doesn't. How do we know this? Here are 3 recent examples of credible research showing that project management is being practiced is failing far too often, especially for large complex projects, regardless of what sector they're coming from. For 35 years, PMI has published the PMBOK guide, and they finally had to admit that what they were advocating has not resulted in any measurable improvements in project success rates. Worse yet, AACE back in 1956 started advocating a fully integrated asset portfolio of both assets and projects, programs, operations, and project management methodology, which was based on a tested and proven program first made public by either Esso or Diamond Shamrock Oil back around 1955, and still we've managed to largely ignore a process we know for a fact has been tested and proven to work. Research done by Germany's Stracheg Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship was one of the first organizations to recognize that producing competent practitioners was not enough. That to be able to realize the full potential, there has to be competent practitioners, but that the infrastructure has to exist to enable them to exploit the opportunities or solve the problems we are facing. Unfortunately, in far too many instances, we see the best and brightest professionals from the developing nations leaving for Australia, New Zealand, the Middle East, or even North America, where their talents are not only being recognized and valued, but compensated more appropriately. Given that we have proof that project management is currently being advocated by PMI, IPMA, AAC, APM, APMG, and all, simply is not working, and given that to achieve all 17 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals is going to revolve around the assets created by projects and programs, doesn't it make sense that the place to start is by building competency in project managers and project teams, while at the same time building capacity in the organizations that will hiring these people or contracting the projects or program out to others? Like learning to drive an automobile, you cannot build competency by watching YouTube videos or reading books. The only way to build competency is by practicing what you are learning under the watchful eyes of a master mentor or experienced mentor. Common sense kind of situation, but we don't take full advantage of it yet. We experience competency assessment many times during our working lives. One of the earliest, the most common, is being when we get our first driver's license when we are 16 or 17 years old. And for the workforce of tomorrow, we are likely to see more competency-based credentialing, even from universities. But like obtaining your first driver's license, competency assessments must be based against the standard or threshold that establishes or validates that the individual is functionally adequate. The standard must measure, assess, and validate the aptitude, attitude, skills, plus strength, plus knowledge necessary for the job. And there needs to be a pass-fail. There is no almost or partially competently. You either is or you isn't competent on any given day and at any given level. Just because you're licensed to fly a Cessna 172 doesn't mean you're competent and capable to fly a 747 or Airbus 380. Far too many HR departments and corporate universities are more focused on initial costs and fail to take into account a measurable return on their training investment. We are only a handful of training providers who actually measure, assess, and validate the competency of our graduates, not just the ability to pass multiple choice exams. To establish that someone is functionally adequate, meaning all five criteria, aptitude plus attitude plus skills plus strength plus knowledge, necessary to be competent for any specific job, we have learned there is no single standard or specification we can use. Over the past 30 years, we've identified and adopted these 6 criteria, which, when integrated into a comprehensive program, consistently produces competent practitioners. The International Labor Organization helps us help the client define what competencies they need or want to validate and assess, and what content should be included or not included in their course. The Iowa State Matrix helps the clients define the level of competency based on the types of knowledge and how that knowledge should be applied. And we use project-based learning, provides the framework to design and deliver the course, and proves evidence to measure, assess, and validate competency. And the NACE research helps us design and deliver the course that addresses the technical and soft or people skills that employers are seeking. And lastly, Kirkpatrick provides us a structured approach to evaluate the efficacy and the effectiveness of our courses based on behavioral changes and results. This ensures long-term sustainability and forms the basis for you to develop an internal train-the-trainer program, follow-on training. This is perhaps the most challenging part to design a competency development and assessment program. We start by identifying 7 to 12 high-level skill sets, and these can go by different names. The ILL units, sometimes called domains, and these are the major functions. Elements is the next one, broken down into between 1 to 5 discrete tasks or activities that the practitioner at the level being assessed should be able to perform if they are competent. Using our first driver's license as an example, this is where we would see discrete activities such as be able to make a 3-point turn, or be able to start the vehicle on a hill, or be able to parallel park between 2 other vehicles. Performance criteria, also known as enablers, this is where we apply Bloom's cognitive dimensions that differentiate how the practitioner should be able to demonstrate their level of competency using a verb analysis. Invariably, when measuring and assessing competency, there are different levels we have to consider. We find this in many applications, including the trades, apprenticeship, journeyman to master builder, medicine, intern, practitioner, and specialist, and in commercial aircraft piloting from Cessna 172s up to Boeing 747 and Airbus 380s. So we can't just, when developing competency, we just can't look at the entry level, which is unfortunately what far too many of the certifications we see today, PMP, and some of the other AAC and IPA certifications are mostly entry-level credentials. As we can appreciate, while the units and domains may stay the same, as we become more competent, not only will the tasks become more complex, difficult, or challenging, but how we are expected to perform those tasks will also change. This is why we look not only at what types of knowledge is required for any task, but how that knowledge is to be applied, the modified Bloom's, the scale on the lower right. Coming back to the ILL, units, sometimes called domains, these are the major functions or knowledge areas that are essential to the practice, and elements, each unit is broken down to be between 1 to 5 elements that are discrete tasks or elements. Performance criteria is known as the enablers, but now we have another level called the range statements or evidence guide. The evidence guide or range statement provides information to the assessor about how the competency may be demonstrated, such as conditions and context of the assessment, suitable methods of assessment, and resource implications. Using obtaining our first driver's license, this is where we would see discrete activities, such as be able to make a 3-point turn. This is the range statement evidence guide would tell the DMV officer in their role as competency assessor, if the driver hits the curb at any point, they fail. The actual process to assess competency is best illustrated by sporting events such as diving or figure skating or obtaining one's first driver's license or pilot's license or any other process where one has to demonstrate that he or she is capable of performing at varying levels of competency. Okay? Conceptually, the process is virtually identical, understanding that not everyone will be able to demonstrate competency on any given day, and that some may never be able to demonstrate competency. To begin with, to obtain the most benefit, the longer the course, the more competency can be developed. Ideally, I like to run full 2-semester, 26-week-long capstone courses, which are half training, half consulting, and are designed to help employees solve real problems identified by their management. We also deliver 1-semester, 90-day, or 13-week programs and half-semester, 45-day courses, understanding that anything less than 45 days, we really can't build a whole lot of competency. The Freeport case study took a total of 9 months from start to full implementation and documented savings of $65 million over a 4-year period. How do we start? We start by using the 7 essential project design elements. We start out with sustained inquiry. You can't learn competency. You can't build competency and capacity development in 2, 3, 4, 5-day programs. That's impossible. You have to work with people for an extended period of time, solving real problems that are relevant to their day-to-day working environment. Next, we go to authenticity. We work with their management to find real problems that they want them to solve, and then we work with them over this 6-month period to help solve those problems. Student voice and choice. The students get to pick their own case studies. They get to pick the sequence of their work. They get to choose when they're going to do it. We have a start and we have a finish date, like in real project management. But how they perform it, the tasks that are required, is up to them. And we have them track their performance using earned value. So at the end of the 6-month period, everybody that graduates from this program is truly an expert in the use and understanding of applied earned value management. They undergo critique and revision. All of the projects they do are graded on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and then again at the end we review their papers and they get to make revisions to those papers to bring them up to standards. The public product, there's the paper. For most of our courses, we require a 25 to 5,000 word paper, which is suitable for qualifying to take the Guild of Project Controls or AACE-CCP. Even for courses that we run for PMP course, we require papers be written. They also have to post a weekly blog of 300 to 500 words. So that's another public project where product where the blogs that they're posting are subject to peer review, not only by me as the professor, but also the consuming public. So they're forced to do a little bit better job. Challenging problem or questions. Again, this is picked by them as working with their management. The management, we talk to the management, we have them identify problems, and the students get to pick which problem they work on or which ones they get to solve. We also use the 7 project-based teaching practices from the Buck Institute's project-based learning. So we align with the standard. In our particular case, we've chosen ISO 55000 asset management and ISO 21500 project management as being a compilation of not just PMI or AAC, but consensus from multiple organizations as to what best practices, best tested and proven practices are. We also we build the culture. We're trying to we have a heavy focus on building information modeling and the use of technology, artificial intelligence, drones, automated machines, and these kinds of technology. So for the people that are graduating from our program, we're preparing them for the future, not for the past. Again, manage the activities. They get to choose. They've got, on average, they have about 5 projects to do. The larger the class size, the more projects. The smaller the class size, the fewer projects. But they have to work on at least 3, and on average about 5 different projects. And how they plan and execute their work is up to them. We have them create a schedule using Microsoft Project, and then we have them follow and report on their progress on a weekly basis, not only using Microsoft Project, but also Earned Value Management. Manage the activities, and we have a scaffold student learning. So we tailor the assignments or guide them and mentor them in choosing assignments that are appropriate for their experience level. Going back to the Iowa State model, we look at the 4 knowledge dimensions and we look at where they are, and we try to get them to challenge themselves to go up 1 or 2 levels from where they currently are to try to advance their knowledge. We have we assess the student learning. On a weekly basis, I grade their blog postings, as do other people from the public. We're free to look at them. Okay, I engage and coach them. I make suggestions to them. Sometimes I'll challenge them with another blog posting on a follow-on topic. And if they fail the blog posting for the week, like I grade them on a 5-star basis. If they only get 1 star, they have to do it over again. So they don't pass automatically. They have to bring it up to the standard that we've agreed to, which is ISO or Yeah, ISO 55000 or ISO 21500. And as noted before, they have to design a plan and they use earned value and they have to report on a weekly basis. So for 25 of the 26 weeks, they have to produce an earned value report using all of the scoring attributes, not just SPI, CPI, CV, and uh, schedule variance. They have to use all of the gold card metrics to measure their performance, and not only measure the performance, but translate it into management activities. We also focus on the skill sets that employers are seeking. We follow the National Association of Colleges Employers research going back to 1956, and we use that to emphasize what skill sets we're embedding in our coursework. We also look at to see what's trending, to see if there's any changes coming up. So we're watching closely this year to see if some of the woke terms, the equity and diversity, if those are starting to move up in the rankings. But right now, the top ones are problem solving, ability to work in a team, and written communication. So those are the top three attributes that employers are looking for, and our courses are designed to develop and enhance those competencies. And the last step we measure is using Kirkpatrick. Now everybody does reaction, the smiley face reports at the end of the course. You know, the mentor or facilitator was entertaining, the food was good, and the room wasn't too hot or too cold. But what we're really measuring is level 2 learning. Did they learn something? And now we can validate through the blogs and the paper. And then we're looking at behavioral changes. And because we have 26 weeks, we can see that after a while, after the 23rd, 24th, 25th week, they are in fact they're changing their habits. They're changing how they do business. And along with it, changing how their companies do business. And then we're focusing on the results. And the results we can measure through the blog posting and through the published papers, where they've actually solved a real problem over the 26-week period that their management has chosen or asked them to solve. Here are some of the examples of the people we teach. We do training all over the world. These photos all come from Indonesia or Malaysia, but we also do training in Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. And we've also started doing some training in South America as well. So for 30 years, we've been doing this program, and we take it all over the world. Here are some examples of the actual papers that some of our top students have produced, solving real problems. So take a look at these papers, and again, our reputation has been built based on the results of what the people that graduate from our programs can do. Now, these are tough programs. Not everybody makes it, and they're expensive. But the fact remains is if you want to get real value for your training dollar, then this is the kind of course that you need to need to be adopting. If you have any questions, please send me an email or send me a video, and I will try to answer the questions as best I can. And again, keep in mind that we will take this training anywhere in the world. We can do it. We can either do it pure distance learning, or we can do it blended learning, combined face-to-face and distance learning mode. So if you want to know more, just give us a call, and we're happy to explain it to you in more detail. Thank you very much for your time.